Everyone in New Jersey loves food. We like cooking it, we like eating it, we even like talking about it. So with a big election coming up, I thought, let's get the people running for governor into the kitchen and get to know them through their favorite foods.
Man, what I love about Jersey is I can't even answer this in under a half hour, but I'll try. I grew up in Jersey. My family's from Jersey. And I think I'm fifth generation. I'm Josh Gottheimer, congressman from New Jersey's 5th District in northern New Jersey and Democratic candidate for governor. We got the best communities, the best people, the best cops and firefighters, and it's just a great place to live and work. I love the Jersey Shore. I love our lakes. I love our schools, our people, our food. I love Springsteen and John Bon Jovi. I should add what I love about Jersey, the diners. And I launched my campaign for governor in a diner. I've been in diners in all 21 counties multiple times. That's where I go sit down and talk to people and learn the most. Today on Cooking with Koppell, I will be making challah French toast. Listen, I believe, because I love breakfast, but challah French toast you can eat any time of day. And it's something that was my mom's recipe. I think it was originally my great-grandmother's recipe, went to my grandmother and my mom, and then now to us. And it's excellent.
Okay, I'm here with Congressman Josh Gottheimer. Thanks for coming on the show. Looks like today we're cooking French toast.
Challah French toast.
Challah French toast. So why is that the thing you said we should be cooking today?
I mean, first of all, challah is good, cooked or uncooked.
That's true.
So I might just want to eat the challah now. I'm so hungry. This is a recipe that originally comes from my great-grandmother.
Okay.
Who I didn't know, but my grandmother, Ida, she was an expert at challah French toast. So growing up as a kid, I remember going into the kitchen and smelling that, and she would make it for me and for my sister. And then my mom took the recipe over. My mom of blessed memory took it over.
Right.
And she, and so as a kid growing up in my house, she passed it along, and now where I cook it for my kids.
Yeah.
My wife and I do, and this is one of my favorite things.
All right, that's suspicious when you say my wife and I do. We're going to see how.
Well, by the way,
we're going to see how that goes.
When I'm home, I cook it. And by the way, my wife, if we push her enough, she might even tell you that I'm better at cooking the challah French toast. By the way, it's the only thing that I cook that I'm better at.
I just want to be clear, these cameras are recording, just so you know.
Can we rewind that part?
Just so you know how this is going to work.
Okay, so fine, rewind that part again, by the way. My wife is better at everything on cooking, but I try.
Okay, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in editing on. We'll see what happens in editing on that. Okay, so for jumping in. So where was all that happening? Where did you grow up? Where your grandmother was cooking your French toast for you?
So I grew up in North Caldwell in Essex, here in Essex County, not far from where we are right now,
right?
In Montclair, and I went to West Essex High School. My great-grandparents moved to Newark and to Linden, depending on the side, New Jersey, so Union County and Monmouth County, and then Essex County, and then they moved. My grandparents then moved to Monmouth to Asbury. My mom went to Asbury Park High School.
Okay.
And my dad grew up in West Orange.
So I guess you're not stumped by the whole Springsteen Bon Jovi thing.
No, but I mean, I'm a gigantic Springsteen fan. But I like Bon Jovi too. Those are great natural resources. In fact, I stopped by the Bon Jovi rest stop last night. I stopped at there you go. And it made me very proud. So
the things only in New Jersey and can say. I stopped at the Bon Jovi rest stop.
A lot of diners, a lot of Jersey. Grew up here, and my kids, who are now 15 and 13, are growing up here. So I love Jersey. It's multi-generational Jersey. My dad started a small business in his basement, actually, in West Orange. So my Rutgers family. So there's a lot. That's where my dad went. That's where my dad went.
All right. Speaking of diners, let's jump in, and probably we want to crack
some eggs. Look how you cut off that so fast.
Well, I don't want to talk about other schools.
I mean, I'm here to talk about Montclair State.
Exactly.
So, do they have this at Rutgers? I don't think so.
No, exactly. What are they doing on the cooking front?
No, I don't. They don't have a president that is a master chef.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. So what are we going to start with? Presumably some eggs.
We're going to cook eggs. We're going to crack eggs.
Okay,
right?
All right.
Where are we throwing things out here? Oh, under here, right?
Whatever.
There you go. I mean, you got to clean up,
Okay, so what else are we going to put in our egg mix as we cook? Is there a secret family ingredient or?
Oh, here we go. There we go. As a attempt to the eggs, yes, we're going to add milk. The key on the challah French toast is you got to have milk.
Yeah.
Makes it extra fluffy. And so we got to add the milk in here.
I think this is our milk.
We got milk.
Yeah.
This is like a fancy. It's not
very,
the script. Where's this milk from?
It's very fancy.
This is really.
It is a little questionable.
The question is this Jersey milk? You know, we have great Jersey milk.
I'm going to say
So
yes.
I hope this better be from Jersey.
Because nobody can
great
test
Jersey
whether
dairies.
that's true or not. So it's absolutely.
In my district, by the way, and
Yeah.
I represent Sussex County, we've got dairy farms.
There you go, promoting the district.
Okay, here we go.
All right, so that actually is interesting because you're talking about your parents' background. They weren't in politics.
No.
So how did the politics bug first
And by the way,
it started early, like in high
last thing they
school.
would do is politics.
Okay.
Although we sat around the table and always talked about issues, it was a big thing.
All right, well,
at dinner.
that's part.
We read the paper and talked about issues. And,
Yeah.
And so when I was 16, my dad said, "Why don't you go?" We had a friend of ours who had worked in Washington, and so he came over one night for dinner, and he said, "You should go try to apply to go work in Washington."
Yeah.
And as a page. They have these people who are assistants on the floor of the United States Senate and the House.
Right.
And so our senator was Frank Lautenberg, one of my senators. And so I just applied and to be cold.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was doing. I just applied. And then I became, I got it, and I became a Senate page, and I went to go work on the floor of the United States Senate.
That's pretty cool.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
And here I'm seeing all these people like Senator Kennedy and all these famous, and Robert Byrd, and these famous lions of the Senate.
Right.
And that was it. And I got to do it, and I said, this is incredible. And Senator Lautenberg let me work in his office for a week answering phones also.
Right.
And I'm answering these phones. I'll never forget. I answered the phone from a woman who was definitely a senior who said she had she wasn't getting her Social Security check.
Yeah.
And was on the phone. She was teary, and she was like, "I don't know how I'm going to pay for anything."
Right.
And she said, "Can you help me? Something happened to my check."
Right.
She'd earned this check, and so I call, in a few minutes, I called Social Security Administration, and they figured it out, and I call her back the next day, and I said, "The check's on the way."
Yeah.
And I talked to her a couple days later, and I said, "Did you get it?" And she said, "Yes." And she was very emotional, thanked me, and I said, "Wow, at 16
So
years
that's
old,
eye-opening, right?
At 16 years old,
yeah, that's pretty
you could
cool.
actually help make a difference."
No, that's a powerful story.
That was it. I got the bug. I was like, "Oh wow, I got to do this. I got to help people."
But for that person though that said you should go and be a page, maybe you end up in a completely different.
Totally, I could be a cook.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be a president of university.
Well, we're going to find out. All right. So you're going to do your milk,
right?
Yeah.
Put the milk in. Here we go.
That's good. That's a lot of milk.
Well, you pre-measured it.
I don't know about that, but okay.
Yeah, well, I said half a cup.
That's a lot of milk.
Okay.
All right. What up? We've got some other stuff here.
Okay, then we're going to add in cinnamon vanilla extract. That's part of the recipe.
So this is the vanilla
We got
extract
vanilla.
right here.
We got vanilla extract.
That I
pour
think
that
we
in.
can put the whole thing in.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure we get the right
All right.
amount.
I don't think you want. Well, you guess you can. It doesn't matter. You want to
teaspoon
dump all that cinnamon?
That's
in?
way too much cinnamon.
Well, it's just going to go on the bread eventually anyway. So we'll put some of that cinnamon in.
I mean, you just yelled at me about the milk. So
Well, that
now
just was a lot. That just was a
I
lot
just
of
want to
milk.
make sure we get this right
a lot
here.
of milk. You're going to get some milky French toast.
It is.
All right. So what did you do? Okay. What did you do after you came back from that experience? Like, were you just immediately a politics
nerd? I got really into it, and then I started going back every summer. I finding new internships. I eventually interned in the Clinton White House.
Yeah.
In the speechwriting office and the research and speechwriting office, and then I first learned about speechwriting and for the president, and which was pretty amazing,
yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then I worked one summer for Tom Foley, who was the Speaker of the House. I interned for him the summer before that. Then I got the speechwriting summer, and then I just started going back, and then I worked on the Clinton campaign in 1996 when I was in college.
So when you got the bug, you really got the bug.
I got the bug, man.
All right, so we can now. I guess we'll mix up the eggs. And we'll do,
yes.
and then we'll
need to whisk. We need to whisk here.
Yeah. You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
All right.
Okay.
So when is how old are your kids that you make the French toast for? You said
one's a sophomore in high school, and one is a 7th grader, Ellie and Ben, and actually Ellie actually likes to cook. Is actually really into baking. Really, we do a lot of baking.
I'm going to own something right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
More milk in mine.
Oh, you put
I mocked you.
I know. Of course, you know.
I didn't put enough milk.
We mock what we don't understand.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. I think our egg mix is ready.
What do you think?
That looks good. So we'll take a break.
I mean, yours is a little darker than mine.
Yeah, because yours is heavy
I
on the
know,
milk.
on the milk.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I think you put too much cinnamon in.
Well, we can compare. We can compare the outcomes when we come back from the break.
We'll be back.
We'll get into cutting the challah and cooking up some French toast. So we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Hawk Plus, the first student-run streaming service in the nation. The place to go for all things Montclair State University. Student films.
Is it really you?
News.
We start this episode with some breaking news on campus.
Sports.
Montclair State men's basketball has been heroic this season.
Exclusive talk shows, alum interviews, and live events. Student-produced and student-run. Hawk Plus. It's Montclair, streaming live and on demand.
Okay, so we're now ready to do the key maneuver as part of French toast, which is to cut the challah. So this is a big, I think, issue, which is how thick should a piece of challah French toast be?
The lesson is you got to be thick.
Okay.
The challah has to be thick, and
All
if
right.
you cut thin, you miss the whole thing.
All right.
Okay, it could be a rookie error.
But that's all relative. So what? So an inch? What? You tell me how thick this.
I mean,
challah
I like
should
to
be.
go here. So like
That's a serious piece of French toast. All right,
yeah.
Here we go. So okay, so you did all this political stuff, and you're working in the White House, and working for all these pretty high profile political assignments.
Yes.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I know from there you went to law school, but you didn't only do governmental work. You had a private sector part of your career too. So when did that come? Was that after you went to law school?
So I go to law school.
Yeah.
I mean, before that, I was working as a speechwriter to President Clinton.
Right.
And then I go to law school, and then I end up ultimately working for President Obama.
Yeah.
At the Federal Communications Commission, and then I worked on some presidential campaigns. But then I left and went to go work first for Ford Motor Company.
Right.
And I worked for a company called Burson Marsteller, which is a big advertising firm, and then ultimately went to work at Microsoft.
So what were you trying to add to your career, so to speak, by going to the private sector? It seems like you probably had a pretty good idea that this politics thing was going to be part of your future.
I didn't necessarily.
No, you really?
No.
Even though you had done all that stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know where that.
Okay.
I didn't know that I would work, as a staffer. I didn't
Yeah.
know that I was going to go run for office.
Right.
I thought it's real. Listen, I think anyone who works in government, it's really important to have both the public sector and the private sector experience. You see
Yeah.
it all because you got to be the job creators. We create jobs in the private sector and want to see that side of the world and make sure and make a payroll and all that.
Yeah.
And having the government experience.
But you
I thought
didn't
would
know
be a
that.
great-
But you were doing it just because you didn't know what you wanted to do. It wasn't necessarily.
Yeah, no, I
prepare
thought it
you
was a
for-
cool opportunity.
Yeah.
Take it.
Yeah.
If you see a good opportunity, I always tell my kids, you see something good, just go grab it.
Yeah.
And then eventually I decided to run because in Jersey, and I disagreed with the guy who was our congressman.
Yeah.
We said a lot of things that I thought were outrageous, and so I came home one day from work. I was watching on TV these two members of Congress screaming at each other and insulting each other, and I
Right.
said, what's going on here?
By the way, I can see you're about to eat it.
You have to have a piece of the challah to make sure. I mean, that's kind of
To
the
make
best
sure
part.
what? To make sure that it's bread.
What
What am I making?
enjoy the taste. It makes the challah even better if you.
I can
Come on.
confirm it's challah.
It's challah. It's
Yeah,
good,
there you
right?
go. All right, so we're gonna put it in. Do you have a?
I got to soak it, right?
Yeah, that's another thing. Like some people just let it drown in it forever, and some people do it quickly. Do you have a?
You got to give it some time.
You give it some
because
time.
right, you want to make sure
You
you,
want it
get
soak
it. You
in.
got to soak it in.
Okay.
Right. See, again, this is where you made a rookie error, because it's not. You don't have enough dairy in there. Look, you can't really. You're having a dunk issue.
No, see, I have my own.
You have a very surface.
I have
level
my own
coverage there.
philosophy, Congressman. I don't want it to get overly wet and
What?
squishy,
I got it,
because
but
that's an issue too.
I mean, the squishy wet thing could be a problem.
This is my first French toast. Is all I'm saying here.
I mean, okay, I understand. You're the master chef. I'm just the rookie.
Exactly. It's cooking with Koppell for a reason.
I mean, it's on my
My face
apron
is on
here.
your apron.
This is unbelievable.
There you go.
I mean, I was trying to get one of these, but I got stuck with
You
this.
have to be university president to get one.
Is
of
your
those.
face on yours?
No, I don't have my own face. It's on the cutting board too. Did you see the one with the face on my
It's on
cutting
the cutting board?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, look.
Not on that one.
No, but your name's
Only that
on this
one.
thing, though.
They thought it would be bad to cut on my face.
Oh, the cutting.
Anyway, so should we put some butter in the pan so that we're ready for
we should definitely put some butter in the pan. Oh, wait.
So what?
It tells you like you're in Jersey. That Koppell, this is like what he uses as a butter knife. I mean, it's a little aggressive here.
Yes. we want to make sure that the butter doesn't get out of hand.
Exactly. Anyone messes with us, the butter messes with you.
So what were you doing when you were at Microsoft?
So at Microsoft, I did I did corporate strategy. Looked at
Okay.
I spent a lot of time on the cloud.
Yeah.
You know, we were developing the cloud
And that
at
was a
that
new
time.
idea,
That
sure.
was a big deal, and so I spent a lot of time on that. And whoops.
I don't have a very
there you go.
hands-on approach to this. I don't know.
And,
I don't think this is cooking show approved.
And at Ford Motor Company, I worked on the first American hybrid SUV
that's cool.
that we had. Yeah, the Ford Escape, and focus on American innovation. I'm a big believer that we should buy as great American cars that we have.
I agree.
And so
My
that
first
was a
new
big
car
deal.
was a Ford.
Really?
Yeah.
What kind?
I had a Ford Probe. I loved it.
A Ford Pro.
I loved that
Yeah,
car. And,
So-
I agree with you. There's lots of good innovation. My car now, I had a Chevy Volt, which I was waiting for. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Incredible technology. Badly marketed, in my opinion.
Yeah, they didn't put a lot in that. But I have the Ford electric Mustang,
Oh, okay.
which is
There you go.
amazing, by the way.
Yeah, see? There you go.
It's an incredible
Good
car.
American companies.
It's a great
okay,
American.
so I got it in the butter here.
Okay.
How long do you think we should have it going?
Well, I don't know how aggressive this stove is here.
It's on medium right now. These are
So,
induction stoves.
these
They are an acquired skill.
It's a right. So hold
I'm
on,
learning
we need a
myself.
spatula here. The spatula's over here, right?
Okay. We got that.
I think it's going to take a few minutes. By the way, it smells good, doesn't it?
It does smell good. It's hard to go wrong with cinnamon.
I mean, it's
And
on
vanilla,
it's on-
right?
In
It
the
smells
meantime,
good.
do you think we need to cut any
We
strawberries?
could cut some strawberries with your modest knife there.
I mean, this versus a blueberry. Who's going to win? So
I don't know if we're going to slice the blueberries. We can do that if you want. Like that's
I'm not
high
slicing that
That's high
blueberry.
level.
No, not with this thing.
But we're going to have some good berries to put
We
with
cut
our
the
French
strawberries.
toast.
Yeah, that's been great. So anyway, so I went to Ford and then to Microsoft. I worked on the cloud, and I worked on, we acquired some companies, and so that was great. And then I went and ran for Congress.
Yeah, something pulled you back. But I wonder, when you were running for Congress, did you still have that memory of helping that person on the Social Security issue?
Oh, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I've never forgotten that. In fact, absolutely. What the best part of, I think, being in Congress, you do a lot of national policy. I've been able to help negotiate the infrastructure bill to fix our roads and bridges and build the Gateway train tunnel and expand the child tax credit and amazing things. The best stuff I do, though, I'll tell you, is like when you help a veteran make sure they get their benefit, or someone can't get their Social Security check, and you're able to directly help them right away.
Yeah.
And you talk to them, you see them, and you're able to immediately help them make a difference.
That's
it's incredibly
true no matter
rewarding.
what
No,
the job is. There's always a person that
Yes.
you can.
It's incredibly
a person
rewarding.
You can jump in. Yeah.
And listen, it's a huge honor to do the job. It's an incredible honor.
What is there?
Although you don't get enough chance to cook.
This is hard to take yourself back, because there was a time when you were that 16-year-old pisher on the Senate floor. What do you think the insight that you get from being the guy who's in office compared to what you think you know from being the observer from the outside? Like, what's the biggest difference?
Well, the biggest thing I recognize, first of all, I was the same size, so it's fine. But the other thing I learned pretty fast was, back then I looked at these people, and obviously they were larger than life to me. And and now, and I think it's the most important thing, they're just like everyone else.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing. And then you could talk to everyone, you got to work with everybody. And like back then, I looked at them and said, I can't.
How could I do that?
Right, how can you larger life? And now you realize, like, wow, they're just like everyone else.
So it's funny.
So,
it's so funny that you say that, because I always like to introduce students to elected officials and so on. And I say this very respectfully, but it's to your point. It's not because I want them to see what incredible titans these men and women are and how they're brilliant and awe-inspiring. It's actually sort of the opposite. Because then they meet him, and they're like, oh. That guy? Like,
Yeah.
He's a congressman? Like, really?
I mean,
I can do that better than him.
I mean, hopefully they don't think completely that of me. But hopefully they at least no. But the point
with
is,
all due respect, the point is it's an ordinary guy.
But the point is, they're just like everyone else.
Exactly.
And by the way, yes, everyone can do it.
Exactly.
That is kind of the
No,
point.
that's why I
and we
think
got to
it's
make
useful.
sure that everyone. I want people to want to do it.
All right.
To be able to help and give
All right.
back, not so they can come here and cook French toast.
Exactly. So and not just cook French toast. The important part is to eat French toast. So we're going to take a break, and then we're going to sit down and we're going to taste. We're going to taste Congressman Gottheimer's French
Look at
toast.
that.
That looks very credible.
Looks pretty good.
Wait till we dress it up with some berries.
We should have gone thicker.
There we go.
At Montclair State University, we don't just create opportunities, we transform lives and strengthen communities. Here, you'll learn by doing, guided by expert faculty who are advancing research and deepening our understanding of the world in education, healthcare, psychology, science, criminal justice, business, and technology. Our location in the heart of the dynamic New York-New Jersey region offers access to internships and careers, from Wall Street to Broadway, from startups to Fortune 100 companies. Montclair graduates go far. Alumni are leaders across industries, driving progress in their companies and communities. At Montclair, we believe in your future and make it possible with an education that's both top tier and affordable. Join a university that values you, supports you, and prepares you to soar.
All right, so does this look the way it's supposed to look? It's kind of fancy.
I mean,
actually.
listen, I wish I could tell you that when I make this for my kids, this is how it looks.
You don't elegantly
Plate it.
do French toast Jenga.
And I mean, Montclair State plates.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't have these, by the way.
We have plates.
We got mugs, plates.
We have plates.
I'm
There's
like-
a lot of branding going on.
I
here.
love the branding. It's good. In case you can't tell, you should be going to Montclair
Well, I
State.
should say, since we're talking about branding, we didn't talk about this, but I don't know if you know, the entire crew here, everybody behind a camera, all of our producers, all of our directors, they're all graduates or students of Montclair.
I love that.
And we're enormously proud of this program, and our students are learning by doing, and they're getting to interact with the alumni who came here before.
It's amazing. It's great.
Okay, so let's dig in.
So, by the way, like I want to point something out here that we should have. I don't know where the blueberries went.
Oh yeah, what happened to the
what happened to
blueberries?
they took out our blueberries.
Well, we can get you blueberries.
No, these are
Is that-
amazing.
all right.
This is great.
I guess the blueberries were just for show.
I'm here. Then this whipped
There's
cream.
whipped cream if you want that. There's maple syrup if you want that.
Maple syrup.
All right, I'm gonna have some syrup. So what is your what did your parents think when you decided that internship turned into your life?
Mixed emotions. I think when I started to do stuff and stay there, they really, and I brought them in and showed it to them. They really bought in. At first, like, what do you want to do? And especially when I want to run for Congress.
Yeah.
Right. Because not everyone's always nice every day when you
Right.
run for Congress. But they were great. I'm really supportive.
Well, to get sort of
and my mom got to be there. We lost my mom, but in my beginning of my second term. But,
Okay.
but she got to see me get elected, and that was a big deal for me.
So I'm curious about something. This is sort of a serious point gets into some serious stuff, but my father was in politics my whole life, and his mother, who left Germany in the 1930s, right, because of the rise of the Nazis, was always ambivalent about him being in public office because she thought, it's great, I'm proud of you, I'm glad what you're doing, but it calls attention to Jewish participation in politics in a way that she was deeply ambivalent about. I'm wondering if that was something that your family talked about or thought about.
They did. I mean, I think in general there was a feeling of just, especially because we lost relatives in the Holocaust.
Right.
And there's thing, sit and just don't rock the boat.
Right.
And I think that was part of it. But once they saw us standing up to things like anti-Semitism, being willing to be out there,
Yeah.
and listen, just fighting for people and doing right. My parents were both involved in the civil rights movement. I worked at the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights.
Yeah, you're saying that became a big part of
which
your
is a big
public
deal.
service
I studied
career.
my mentor in college was the chair of the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights,
Yeah.
Mary Frances Berry.
Okay.
So a hero, and she
It's Berry theme.
Berry theme.
Sorry, I couldn't help.
And she, and then I went to go work for her, and then I worked on a book on civil rights speeches, and so I was very into it. My parents were very into it, so that was always something that I was very focused on, both studying and life working. Yeah. And then when I worked for Bill Clinton, who also was a huge champion of civil rights. So there was great themes that I got to carry forward.
That you worked on that
and be part of before I ended up working for President Obama as well. So it was working for these great heroes, and being able to work for Obama was also just like this, just like President Clinton, another dream come true.
Yeah.
Right.
So I want to pick up on something we were talking about sort of off camera, which is how do you motivate young people to get into public service? And obviously part of what motivates people is the specific policy items in a way that's partisan. But I want to encourage people, regardless of their views, to get involved and run for office. I don't care whether they're D or R. I just think public service is good. How do you motivate people to follow in your path? Not necessarily because they want to support your agenda, but just to get involved.
I mentioned before, first of all, service any which way, whether you're going to the military, whether you're going to go work in politics or to run for office, right? I mean, all these different things, or go work in a nonprofit. These are all different ways that you can give back, and I think that's really important. Any which way if you can, whether that's working in a soup kitchen, working on the weekends, like something.
So what's your pitch to
my pitch to people working public? The difference you can make, first of all, especially for young people, going to work, who go work in politics. And my office is full of young people who, a lot of them right out of school, or soon after out of school, and they can work on policy issues, real substance, or communications, or go help people in the community. There's all different ways that you, as a young person, can give back and see it immediately. Right?
It is true that
you don't have to wait.
True that people don't realize young people actually get a lot of influence very quickly.
Totally,
in the public policy, political realm.
Totally, and that's an amazing thing because you can make an immediate difference. Yeah, and you can see it, you can feel it, you can touch it, and whether that's public policy or whether it's helping that senior that I got to help. Right, it's the same. It's the same sort of thing. So, and I said, listen, people. Yes, you see a lot of things on TV of people screaming and yelling or on social media. Most of the stuff we do is not like that. So
say that's a good thing for people to see, because that is all we see is the soundbite and the screaming.
That's the entertainment. They're trying to get you to watch. Just like you're trying to get people to watch.
What do you wish they could see that's not on television?
Right. I mean, first of all, not everything is like this partisan French toast is not right. I mean, it's right. It's not like that. Yeah. Well, I wish they could see is that a lot of us spend a lot of time talking to one another, trying to figure out how to get things done for the country, and we've been able to get things.
Even today.
Even
today, when it seems like it's all
we just did a bipartisan gun safety bill in the last couple of years that I helped drive. Right. And people would say, how could you get that done in a bipartisan way? Well, you talk to each other and build relationships. Right. It's amazing. If you just watch the television on cable news, they need you to keep watching, so they have people screaming and yelling. Now, I'm not telling you it's not perfect, especially right now. Right. It's a tougher, more partisan time. But even now, I'm still sitting down with my colleagues across the aisle and saying, if what you're trying to do isn't working, let's try this. And what can we work on together here? Whether it's education related, whether it's gun safety related, whether, you name it. There's all these issues on the budgets. Like, we're going to have to govern this country, we're going to have to work together and put the country first. I helped start this group called the Problem Solvers Caucus. It's a bipartisan group where people sit together. And one of the biggest lessons I learned was, A, you got to spend a lot of time eating together. Right. And B, you got to listen, you got to listen to what's on their mind.
So if I hear that correctly, this is an open invitation to the entire Republican caucus in the House of Representatives to have French toast.
If they want to have
cooked by Representative Josh Gottheimer.
If they want to have challah French toast with me,
challah French toast on Josh.
They can sit with me anytime and have challah French toast. This would be a little odd to have a beer with this, but yes.
No beer with the French toast. Anyway, thanks so much for joining us. It was a lot of fun. The French toast is good, by the way. Right? I'm going to keep eating it.
It's good.
It's good. It was a pleasure.
Thanks so much.
And
thanks for what you do.
We'll see you on the next episode.
Seriously, thanks for listening.
Very good. Thank you.